Two key medical insurance network models throughout our globe. Ask Doug about understanding U.S. medical networks and international medical networks better will help you and your organization to use your global employer group medical insurance better. In this three-part series, we will address two key medical insurance network models throughout our globe, some key differences in comparing your medical networks. How does my U.S. and international medical network stack up to others? Today, we will be discussing the two key medical insurance network models throughout our globe. In general, U.S. medical care network provide access to medical facilities to doctors, hospitals, and specialty care centers. Your insurance company has contracts with medical providers for negotiated pricing. This keeps your premiums down as well as out-of-pocket costs such as copays, deductibles, and coinsurance for the policyholder. If you go to a doctor or other medical provider that is not in your network, you don't have that cost safeguard. This also allows a more streamlined experience when paying for a medical service. The doctor just bills you the copay and submits the rest for reimbursement. Lastly, U.S. medical facilities handle a lot of the heavy lifting by connecting with your insurance company to okay the needed medical procedures. This allows you, the policyholder, to get the care you need with a more hands-free approach when dealing with a medical concern in the U.S. In general, for medical care outside the U.S., you are not obligated to use a medical network. You can use any Western-style medical provider you choose. There is not a network price versus non-network price. The advantage of using the network is usually the provider is willing to wait for the insurance company to pay them directly. If you have a $0 deductible plan, you may experience receiving cashless medical care. The list price and discounted model that we have in the US is not that common internationally. A few countries have set list pricing for medical procedures, but that is primarily used for their national healthcare providers. Generally, even private international medical providers charge so much less than US providers that having a negotiated price with them is not usually a concern for the global medical insurance company. In many countries, the national government is the payer for medical care. So there is a limited understanding of private medical insurance as third-party payers. Either you pay a subsidized amount or the government pays. Thus, medical care networks do not play a key role in the medical market since the national government dictates pricing. Private medical insurance does have a role in countries with nationalized health, which allows insureds to get care via private hospitals and doctors without having to wait for government-paid specialists. Depending on the medical specialty, one can wait months for other appropriate medical provider. Countries that have medical networks will have varied models due to the different style of medical care in that country. Compared to the US, they may be a local network. Some international insurance companies contract with local medical networks. If a medical provider is listed in the International Insurance Company Provider Search, it usually means that there is an established relationship so that the company can pay the provider directly. Some best practices to keep in mind when you are using your international employer group medical insurance outside the US. Realize that you will be responsible to check with your global medical insurance company for major, i.e. expensive medical tests and procedures as a medical necessity. This is usually called pre-certification or pre-authorization. Depending on the country, this can take 48 hours to 2 weeks unless it is a medical emergency and how much the provider is willing to cooperate to provide requested information. Please note that pre-certification does not guarantee payment, but does provide confirmation that there is medical necessity for the test or treatment. This pre-certification also checks that the medical facility is not inflating the medical cost of that procedure. To find out if the medical procedure is a covered benefit on your international employer group medical insurance, please connect with your global insurance company through your insurance portal or their website or on the phone. Or call us here at GNI, Good Neighbor Insurance, if you are not able to connect with your international medical insurance company. Having a medical procedure outside the US will usually save you money over having the same medical procedure completed in the US. You may even find it to be financially advantageous to go to a nearby country that has excellent medical care and take advantage of a lower deductible and 100% coinsurance for care outside the US. Some international medical insurance companies will actually pay you so much per day when hospitalized outside the US. This is to cover your incidental expenses, and you don't have to account for how it's used. Here are the general steps of how a medical network functions inside the US or your international employer group medical insurance. Step 1. When you enroll, you receive your medical ID card, which shows your US network. Step 2. You can search for network and direct pay medical providers through your global online account with your global insurance company. Step 3. You may access your medical care in-network by making appointments with medical network providers and showing your ID card when checking in. Step 4. Your medical provider recognizes your global medical insurance company since they have a contract with your global international medical insurance company and takes care of your medical request. Step 5. The medical provider you saw informs you and your global employer group medical insurance company the agreed discounted rate. Step 6. Depending on the medical service provided, you may pay a copay, deductible, or coinsurance for the patient responsibility. If you haven't met your deductible yet, you only pay the discounted amount of the eligible medical expense. Your international insurance company pays their amount to the medical facility you just visited. Because there is no one global network model, there are a variety of ways global employer medical insurance companies provide an almost claimless or cashless, and sometimes 100% claimless, experience for you, the policyholder or patient. When getting medical care outside the US, there are 3 major ways your global employer medical insurance company will help you pay for your medical care. Option 1. Your international employer group medical insurance company contracts with various healthcare providers, facilities, and service providers around the world based primarily on quality and service to their clients, you. Option 2. Or your global employer group medical insurance company establishes a relationship, which is not as strong as having a contract with a variety of healthcare providers, facilities, and service providers outside the US. Option 3. You get the medical care needed locally, pay the invoice, and then submit the claim for reimbursement. Please note that you may use any legally licensed Western-style medical facility outside the US. Here are the general steps of how a medical network functions outside the US and your international employer group medical insurance. Step 1. You, the policyholder, will be able to see a list of medical provider networks located on your online portal. If there is not an in-network list of medical providers in your desired geographical area, you may connect with your global medical insurance company to see what options they would recommend. Step 2. You, the policyholder, can show your medical ID card to your medical facility. Step 3. If the medical provider recognizes your international medical insurance card, they will go ahead and start the medical procedure they know they need to complete to be paid for the services rendered. You won't have to do anything else unless a deductible is owed. Step 4. If your medical facility does not recognize your international medical ID card, they may call or email international medical insurance provider. Sometimes, the person at the front desk of a direct pay facility may not be familiar with your international medical insurance company. In that case, you may ask to speak to a supervisor or have your global medical insurance company reach out to the medical provider directly on your behalf. Step 5. Your medical facility may request you, the policyholder, to pay, and then you can fill out a claim form and submit your global medical insurance provider. Always request an itemized receipt, which lists what services were rendered at the cost of each one. Many global medical insurance companies have a mobile app that allows you to do a provider search in the US and abroad, download travel documents, and submit medical claims. Thank you for watching our Ask Doug About International Employer Group video series, and please keep your eye out for Part 2 and Part 3 of this 3-part series about U.S. international medical networks. Please like and subscribe. Your GNI team here in Gilbert, Arizona wish all safe and awe-inspiring expatriate travels.